The wrinkles on my hands trace the faded ink of the letter, each line a testament to a memory both cherished and cursed. But oddly enough, as I write this letter to you today, I felt very refreshed. It must have been because I've been stuck alone for a couple of years. I am 83 years old now, a lonely symphony of aches and regrets. Some people call me aswang, a pariah, ostracized from the very village that once cradled my dreams. Back then, I was known as Isadora, a fiery wisp of a girl with eyes that mirrored the boundless beauty of Manila Bay in the pre-war years. Manila in 1941 was a kaleidoscope of vibrancy. Horse-drawn carriages clattered over cobblestone streets, their rhythmic clip-clop a soothing counterpoint to the bustling Escolta district. Escolta, then, is the heart of Manila fashion scene. It was an intoxicating blend of Art Deco architecture and glittering storefronts. I remember the air, thick with the scent of freshly baked pandesal, and the perfume of elegant ladies dressed in tiernos of imported silk. It was a world away from my quiet village life, a world pulled into my orbit by the man I dared to love. His name was Rafael. Rafael was a name whispered with awe in hushed tones. Young, handsome, and impossibly rich. He owned half the businesses in the city, his influence stretching from the bustling Escolta to the burgeoning port of Quiapo. He was a enigma, a man who appeared ageless, his charisma as potent as the aged brandy he sipped in exclusive clubs. To me, he was a whirlwind of charm and stolen glances across crowded ballrooms. His eyes, the color of melted chocolate, promising a future as dazzling as the city itself. Our love story, if one could call it that, bloomed under the watchful eyes of Manila's elite. He proposed on a moonlit cruise on Manila Bay, the city lights twinkling like fallen stars in the water. I was a naive 18 years old. My heart was an open book. I was oblivious to the darkness that lurked beneath the surface. The wedding was a spectacle. Manila's creme de la creme gathered to witness the union of beauty and power. But beneath the veneer of gaiety, a sinister current pulsed. The chosen date, the full moon, hovering like a watchful eyes, triggered an unease I couldn't quite place. Then, on the eve of the wedding, the whispers began. Whispers about the De La Cruz family, rumors of dark rituals and ancient bloodlines, fear, cold and primal. That night, I woke to a chilling silence. The mansion, usually bustling with activity, was eerily still. A tremor of dread ran down my spine as I followed an unseen force deeper into the house. The grand library, usually a haven of leather-bound books and the scent of old paper, now reeked of something feral and musky. There, in the center of a makeshift altar, stood Raphael, his back to me. He was flanked by cloaked figures, their faces hidden in the shadows, chanting in a guttural language. Terror choked me as I saw them. I was really afraid. A symbol etched onto their foreheads. I stumbled back. I was so afraid back then that the floorboards creaked. Raphael whipped around, and his face contorted in a mask of fury. His eyes, once pools of molten chocolate, were now blazing with red-hot hunger. I realized that he wasn't the man I loved. At that very moment, not anymore. He was a monster, and I was his prey. The fight for my life was a blur of adrenaline and terror. I clawed and kicked, fueled by the primal spark of survival. Every desperate movement fueled by the will to escape. But Raphael was stronger, faster, and his movements fueled by something inhuman. Just as his fangs reached for my throat, a figure materialized from the shadows. A woman, her eyes blazing with fierce inner light, flung a vial at Raphael, shattering it on his chest. A hissing smoke erupted, engulfing him in a cloud of acid fumes. He screamed, a sound that ripped through the silence, before collapsing in a heap. And as I stumbled down, those dark cloaked figures ran around Raphael, trying to help him out. I was honestly afraid. I was still thinking of his well-being, without even realizing that my life is on the line. It was still like it hasn't still settled on my mind yet. The woman who helped me was Louisa, a maid who had always treated me with kindness. When I remember, we were running away from those cloaked people who were trying to get their hands on us. And when I remember, Louisa was just one of those maids that are usually quiet, and her eyes are filled with burning, fierce, and protective energy. I always trusted her. It's because she has always that wonderful aura around her. And as I gasped for breath, I remembered she explained that the De La Cruz family were no ordinary people. They were aswang. They were hiding in plain sight, and their annual ritual demanding the sacrifice of a virgin on the full moon. Luisa, he called herself a mananambal. She originated from Siquijor. They were blessed tribes that were given the ability to see the nature of things and people, animals, any living creature. She had been waiting for this moment. She said they need to break the cycle. My escape wasn't clean. I suffered a scar on my face. It was always aching every day, as I remember, after the day that I escaped, even till now. I fled the mansion that night, leaving behind the city of lights and the life I thought I would have. But I also left behind a part of myself, a love forever tainted by darkness.